Pisces, Pisces rising. How you doing, Pisces? So this is your reading for the new moon in Sagittarius. That's already happened, right? I work with 6-month cycles. So what comes through in this is going to serve you to the Sagittarius full moon next year. But it's already happened. It's happened today on the 1st of December. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical and vocal light language. And all of this brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through in this reading. So I read for the rising signs. So for those of you who don't have Pisces in the first house or in your natal chart, look to the house that it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house. And you want to apply those themes as well as all the other meaning you've got going on in the sign of Pisces, sun, moon, all of the themes of that to the messages that come through. Because it will be as if that Pisces energy, wherever it falls in your natal chart, has now energetically moved to the first house. So the astrology for the rising sign will always still link in. You just got to add on your own natal chart meaning on top of it. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So, new moon in Sagittarius, a fellow mutable sign. This is squaring your energy, Pisces. Squares are an aspect of Mars. They want to bring... they can bring about conflict, drama, frustration, this desire for the mutables to win, like which mutable's going to win at all costs. If these things are going to come up over the next 6 months, right? All it is trying to reorientate your perspectives around that energy, because inherently all of that energy is just friction, and without friction our 3D environment would not exist. And Mars is all about motivation, drive, passion, your actions, and a square is a building energy. It requires some hurdles to jump over, but it is about building for the long term in the 3D. So you've got this square energy, and where is it happening for you, Pisces rising? Well, it's happening in your 10th house. Now, this is the most visible part of the natal chart. And this is where the sun was at the peak of its arc on the day that you were born. I like to look at the natal chart as a tree. And in the 10th house, it's the leaves at the top of the tree that are striving to expand, striving to evolve. Now, the 10th house is all about your life purpose, your career, your visibility, your reputation, how the big outside world sees you. This is the lens in which they see you through. And it's also linked into bosses. Now, career doesn't have to be your life purpose. It can just facilitate it. So you've got this lovely new moon happening there. Well, it's already happened. And I'm just going to talk about some core intentions to set with this new moon. As I said, I find it doesn't really matter if it's after the event. When you're tapping into the frequency, you're activating it. So new intentions with it, and then I'm going to break down what's going on with the tarot, right? And talk about that. So new moons, new intentions, new cycles. It's with all the wisdom that we've learned before that we then get a fresh new energy come through that we then are working with 6 months. So new intentions around the next stage of your life purpose, the next stage of your career, becoming more in alignment with that, right? A boost in visibility, a boost in harmonious relationships with people who have sort of like a superior role to you, like bosses or whatever it is, or you becoming the boss, getting that pay rise, getting the promotion. Now the flip side to the intentions with the new moon are more of the shadow work, right? So we're in denser frequencies, we are evolving into higher frequencies, but it still means we've got to work with those denser frequencies. We've got to understand polarity and work with both sides of the same coin. So you can set intentions. If you've had difficulties around whether you're visible or not, around your reputation, right? And externalizing your need to be on your path, to be in your career for that validation, you can set intentions with this new moon to help show you what's the entanglement in your energy field field that's blocking the expansion of the 10th, right? And so those things can come up over the next 6 months that you spend time doing the inner work, reflecting on that. Any blockages around giving and receiving, any blockages around the ancestors, parental figures who sort of, or things that were said to you that sort of instill this sense of you can't do it, you can't receive, you can't give, all of those kind of things that can kind of diminish the light of the sun that just wants to sort of radiate. So those are some big themes. It's squaring your ascendant, which is your first house, your embodiment of self. So this is about building through your actions the next stages. And there may be conflicts around how you embody yourself that may not be in alignment with where you're headed, or conflicts around how you're perceived in what you're doing, people doubting that, and you then giving up on it. That was one of the core themes that came through in the collective reading. By the way, if you want a deeper dive on this, pause this video, go watch the collective reading. I break down all of the astrology in way more detail, which I won't be doing here. I will be touching on a lot of it, but not all of it. And especially because it's squaring your energy, Pisces, and you've got Saturn in your sign. This moon is square Saturn, so there's a double resonance there. I also did some collective tarot, channeled messages. I will mention the major themes that came through with that, because not everybody's got the time to do the collective. They're my favorite, by the way. And it acts as the baseline for what's going to show up here, of like, what's the vibe, what's the frequency that's being downloaded, collectively, what's the collective theme. And one of them was the confidence to be on your own path. Right? Sagittarius, mutable. It is the wanderer, right? Movable fire. It wants to roam. It wants to explore, and it wants to do so feeling good about it, right? So a lot of what's come up over the last 2 weeks from that full moon in the lead up to this new moon is bringing up a lot of wounds around those restrictions. And so with that square to your Pisces energy, I want you to hold the line and trust in your journey, trust in the process. That's something that I've been called to say in all of the readings, which I'll get to why in the astrology, and allow the unfolding. So those are the major themes. So what's going on with the cards? I should probably start shuffling. We're going to have 3 piles on the selenite, and then we're going to have some couple of cards for the Mercury retrograde and some oracle cards at the end. So the 3 piles are, what is the intention of this new moon? What's the highest, most integrated intention of the unfolding of this frequency that we're working with in regards to Pisces? Pile 2 is going to be what's the challenge and how to work with it, right? So as you know, for various reasons, there's been quite a lot of hardcore messages coming through in these readings because of the retrogrades that are involved here, which mean reviewing, revising, things not going in the speed that you necessarily want them to, and challenges coming up because when we're in that retrograde phase, we are digging things up that we may have just zoomed ahead of and missed. So the challenge and how to work with it. Pile 3 is how to work with pile 1, how to amplify that good vibe that's coming through, that integrated and expansive energy, where to focus your attention, what's a good idea, what's the good planning and stages and activations to focus on that will then really facilitate the unfolding. And then we'll get the card at the bottom of the deck when all those cards are out, and then I'm going to pull that 3 cards for the Mercury retrograde, because Mercury is in Sagittarius. Its retrograde cycle is linked into this lunation cycle from the new moon to the full moon in Gemini when it goes direct. So I'm going to pull some couple of cards on that retrograde. Again, the bottom of the deck card as well. And then at the end, I'm going to be pulling 1 card from 3 different oracle decks that kind of sum up the whole message. So that's what's going on with the cards. Now let's get into the astrology. Let's dive a little bit deeper into this frequency. So 10th house, as I said, renewal of visibility, reputation, your get up and go, your desire to explore and roam and adapt and change your path and your elevation of your career or whatever it is that is the calling in your life lifetime. A deeper understanding of it. Now, we are having a grand fire trine be activated by this moon. And this is involving Mars and the North Node, where all the fire signs, all the fire signs are being activated by, and it's not just by sign, it's by aspect. So they are making trines with one another, and a trine is ruled by Jupiter. And guess what else is ruled by Jupiter? Well, that's you, Pisces, traditionally, and that's what I work with. So big Jupiterian energy being activated here. And so with that, with the trine, it's about bringing things together, because it's all fire signs, it's all yang signs, in order to elevate and expand, because there's a really free-flowing, easy transfer of information when we have trines. So we're then able to evolve, we're able to expand and get a greater sense of knowing and faith and truth. And with that comes confidence and abundance and luck and opportunities and a more generosity of spirits. Very easy flowing energy. So we've got a grand fire trine. Fire is instinctive. It is the thing that's just happening. It's not being activated by a thought process, an emotional response, or a physical sensation. It is just the thing that's happening. It's very passionate, very courageous, very transformative in its nature. Very independent as well. So all the fire signs are being activated, and so they're all working together. So we've got fixed, cardinal, and mutable, all working together to elevate your instincts. And these are all in your work house, right? Which I'll break down the themes of. And what I really like about this is it's following on from, oh my God, so many grand water trines that we've been working with over the last couple of months. And that was really doing some deep healing on our emotional body, the memory in our water, really healing that and elevating that energy. And then we had the Taurus full moon, which was, for me so far, the biggest moon of the year, right? Complete nervous system reset. It was all about releasing of limiting beliefs in the head that have stopped you from walking your unique path and embodying in your physical body this knowing of your physical body, that it may have been restricted through trauma responses, certain situations where your body's like on high alert in fear mindset, in sort of always get them around the wrong way. I think it's parasympathetic nervous system, or is it it's sympathetic nervous system when you're in fight and flight. That full moon brought about the rest and digest phase, right? This sense of and Uranus was liberating a lot of that. So with the Venusian qualities of the Taurus energy, the physical body, our personal physical body, was just getting a revamp in how it's moving through the world, right? Moving more from a place of abundance and creativity rather than that fear mindset. And then we have this upgrade in our instincts. So our emotional body's been healed, our physical body is more in alignment, and now our instincts are getting in alignment with all of that work that we've been doing. So love that. Right, Mars in Leo is in your 6th house of work. The adult in the room is the 6th house. This is work, how you figure things out. It is about physical health, routines. Ooh, tushilima. Oh, I'm loving this reading. I've seen all the cards actually. Sometimes I don't, and that's fun as well. Physical health, routines. It's also linked into co-workers and therefore collaboration, pets, and therefore acts of service. So Mars is there. Mars is going to go retrograde in a couple of days. I think it's the 5th and the 6th that it's going to go retrograde, but it's not retrograde at the time of this moon. And so there's a real set. Mars loves being in the 6th, by the way. It's its favourite house to be in because Mars likes a job to do, right? So there's a lot of momentum around you stepping up through your instincts and your actions, right? Your motivation, your drive from the heart. You're going to be figuring out more integrated, more adult in the room energy around how you work, around how you take care of yourself, around how you work with others. You're going to get a lot of stuff done over the next 6 months, Pisces. Your instincts, there's a flip side to this, as there always are. You want to watch what your actions are, right? Go into observer mode and follow that thread, because often we can struggle to be the adult in the room, right? Usually because we learned certain love languages from our parental figures, from our society, of not being that mature energy, we can sort of poo-poo it and think, well, it's all about having fun. Well, it is, but also hard work and really feeling the energy around it, feeling vibrant, getting the things done, feeling a huge sense of achievement. And also looking after yourself and knowing how you work. And when you know how you work, that means you bring in healthier relationship dynamics. So you can observe through your instincts, the alignment of where you're headed with the new cycle, as well as it's going to give you clues around what blockages are within you that are impacting your motivation, your drive, and your instincts to get up and do the damn thing. And so this is going to be really helpful for you to reflect on that, right? And look to that and what's going on with that. And we have the North Node over in Aries, which has been hanging out there for a while. It's going to leave in January. And this is where we head and strive into new territory. We're expanding. There's a sense of hunger with the North Node, but it is also where we're going. And that was in your second house of your skills and your tools, right? Your resources that you have, woohoo, that in order to bring in regular income and manifest. And it is the things that you value, as well as how you value yourself. And if you don't value yourself truly, madly, deeply, then you perhaps value things that distort the truth of your own value. They're mirrors of your lack of worth, all right? Or sometimes when we're really puffed up and we think we're amazing, when it comes from a place of vulnerability, right? Of their deep fear within us that we're not worth anything. It's the same, two sides of the same coin. Anyway, North Node's there. So there's a real sense of striving into a new space of understanding your own value, of elevating your skills and your tools. Mars is going to help you put that into practice and really bring that all together in alignment with where you're headed in terms of your life purpose. Woo! Okay. Right, they're all out. I'm now going to do the Mercury retrograde cards. Let's bring this a little further forward. So big fire. And fire is the way that you create. The way that you work, right? In the material plane, that instinctive nature. Now, the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. Where is Jupiter? Well, Jupiter is over in the sign of Gemini. Right? Another mutable sign opposite Sagittarius. And this is in your roots and your foundations, your fourth house. Whereas the 10th house is the tops of the leaves of the tree. The fourth is the root system, right? This is your foundations. This is your root system, your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, parental figures, the roof over your head, and the things that you do in private. It's this sense of structure and safety in your life. So Jupiter is influencing this moon from the fourth. It's retrograde at the moment. And so Jupiter in the fourth, love that transit. If you haven't seen the Jupiter and Gemini transit series, it's still live. We're midway through. You're not going to have Jupiter in the fourth for another 12 years. And Jupiter in the fourth is all about getting the big ideas, getting the wisdom, feeling good in your home life, feeling really expansive, and just sort of getting a lot of downloads when you're at home about your truth and your perspective and your understanding of abundance. As I said, feeling good at home. But it's retrograde right now. And that means an inner recalibration. An inner calibration around your inner wisdom, your root system. When Jupiter's retrograde, it can be bringing all of that outward expression internally, as well as a lot of questioning, like questioning your faith, questioning your roots, questioning where you come from, questioning the dynamics that you're in, questioning your sense of safety, reorientating that. And it's really powerful, but it can just feel a little restrictive. And so it's influencing your life purpose, your career. I can see a lot of blockages around abundance with Jupiter being retrograde, that's linked into your parental figures, that's linked into your ancestors, and that kind of ties into what I was saying about the intentions you could set in the 10th around letting me know what the wounds are so I can work through them, as well as you just feeling more confident through questioning processes of the next path. I can see you getting a lot of downloads when you're at home for the next stages, as well as you know, really sort of rediscovering what it is that you need from your home, what you need from your foundational space in order to launch yourself further. This connection between the 10th and the 4th is also very much about the holistic life, right? Happy home, happy work. And if you're being burnt out in one direction or the other, this is going to bring you into alignment. This is really going to help you sort of reorientate that and get a healthier balance. Now, Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Where's Mercury? Over in Sagittarius, right? So both of these rulers are in each other's realms, and this is what's called mutual reception. And so they're psychically hotline to each other, right? They are at ease and flow in these lands because they've got basically the code from the ruler telling them where everything is. So there's not as many challenges, there's not as many difficulties because there's a flow state, and they're also facilitating each other's journey, right? They're helping each other with the intentions of why they're there, right? And it's very supportive energy. And Mercury's retrograde went retrograde for the Americas on the 25th and for the rest of the world on the 26th. You might want to see what messages came through if someone messaged you out of the blue, or what downloads you were getting, or what challenges came up around that day, because it will let you know the overall energy of the retrograde itself. But Mercury retrograde in the 10th, a revisiting and understanding of your perception of your life purpose, your career, your visibility, your reputation, how you collect information about that and process it, right? Whether that's on a fear response or an abundance response, a realignment of your the way that you communicate through your career, through your life purpose, right? That sense of how you're showing up, how you're visible in the way that you express yourself when it comes to your life path. Very powerful energy to have that in the 10th. And that is influencing Jupiter. So there's a real strong alignment, as I said, that holistic life of happy home, happy work, right? Getting them into balance, into harmony. Now, I haven't really brought it up for any of the other signs, just because it's in the collective reading, but this moon was square Saturn, and that's over in your first house of your embodiment of self. So it's adding a level of maturity and longevity of the way that we're building, wherever that falls, right? But for you with your 10th house of career. Now, the only other bit of astrology I'm going to talk about, there is some cool stuff going on, some cool stuff going on with Venus over in Capricorn. And but the only other thing I'm going to talk about is that Mercury is trining Chiron at the time of this new moon. So this is kind of locked in, and this is why I think there's the two retrogrades governing the whole chart, and two, this energy is why there's been some hardcore messages, because we kind of upgraded our consciousness, we've upgraded our paradigm, and we're now evolving into that, and it's definitely meant some bigger challenges that we're capable of working with, because essentially we're going to do some really deep work that's allowing more space for us to create with the new frequency. Inshallah, Diana. Now, Chiron's over in Aries in your second house. So Chiron's been there for a while, which has meant that North Node energy hasn't been as full throttle as it could have been, and yet it is at the same time, but it's involved working through a lot of core archetypal wounds. Chiron is the master teacher and the wounded healer. Through the wounds, through the deep archetypal wounds, we evolve and grow and become the master teacher. We find the wisdom in the wound. And so Chiron's been in your second house of how you value yourself. So you may have noticed a lot of situations and scenarios that have been dragging up how you are not valuing yourself enough, perhaps by others doing the same. As well as wounds around, do you have the skills and tools that mean that you can evolve and grow in your life path, right? Or do you have the resources? Are you getting the income you need in? And all of this has been digging deep into you to know that you have the resources. You've been finding deeper wisdom. You've been letting go of certain paradigms because of these events. Now, Mercury is trying Chiron. And so the information that you're going to be processing in regards to your career and your life purpose and visibility and reputation are going to be bringing up, one, a lot of wounds around your own value and therefore whether you're worth being visible, as well as any wounds around the outside world perceiving your value, and that may be being a bit frustrating because you might think I am so good at what I do, but that might not be going out in the world, and that may then be pulling you back and you're losing your motivation. Chiron and Mercury, you're going to be getting, as I said, a lot of downloads to help heal that. and as well as a lot of wisdom that's going to elevate your perspective, right? It might be for some of you that you've been starting, because Chiron in the second, you've been starting to bring healing modalities into the way that you work. And that can be in anything. It's just a frequency around healing and elevation and teaching, right? For some of you, this also could be the next stage of you teaching at a high level the processes that you've come to with your skills and your tools. So that's a very supportive energy, but it isn't necessarily going to be all butterflies and rainbows, although butterflies are about transformation and rainbows are about bridging things, so it's also going to be about that. But you get what I'm saying. So that's going to be influencing this Mercury retrograde of healthier conversations perhaps with your boss, healthier conversations with yourself around what you're capable of doing and the path you're able to go on. Oh, forgot to do the oracle cards. That came out quick. Just clocked it, and it is what's at the bottom? Cool. Remind me guys, remind me to look at the bottom of that deck. These came out quick. That's good. Okay, let's get on with the tarot. So this is the intention of the moon. We have Lady Justice, we have the Eight of Pentacles, and then the Nine of Pentacles. Now remember, it's a new moon, so it unfolds, right? It's not the immediate download, but this is the download you're getting that you're working with over the next 6 months. We have Libra, we have Lady Justice. There's a real sense of seeing things clearly, right? Of being very objective and empathetic with yourself, right? And being able to make the right decisions, have good judgment. And it's also something around a new soul contract coming in because you've done the work, right? And it's allowing you to sit in your power, right? Sit in your power, feel balanced, feel your equilibrium, your truth running through you, and a real sense of being able to act on that truth and observe your reality at a higher level of truth rather than a distortion. And following that is the Eight of Pentacles. I love this card at the moment. For me, this is step up to your incarnation. Pull your socks up and go and do the damn thing every day and whistle while it's happening. But this is all about refinement towards mastery. See, this figure is carving this pentacle and it's done it over and over and over again. It's enjoying the process. It's putting the hours in. It's the practice, right? But it's the drive and the motivation to do it in a really sort of abundant way and a happy way and a joyful way, that you're here, you're present, and you're here to create. So I love this with all that fire being activated, all your workhouses being activated, of you are heading towards a place of mastery. You are refining what you're doing and where you're going, and you've got the energy and the momentum to do it. And then the Nine of Pentacles following that Eight. Now, this is a very independent energy. This figure knows what they're doing and knows what decisions to make in order to bring about a holistic life, right? They're hanging out in their home. There's lots of grapes which represent abundance. They've made the right decisions in terms of their career and how they build in the world in order to have a great home life as well as a great work life, right? So there's a real sense of knowing when to say no to certain things, knowing when to say yes, knowing to go on the path that you're going on that's very particular to you. And I love that this is showing up for a 10th house energy, because it is bringing in what that Jupiter Mercury mutual reception between your home and your work, right? Your roots and your expansion, and the confidence to do it with that square with Saturn in your first, of being able to embody that and make those decisions. Love this for you, Pisces. So the challenge and how to work with it. We got the King of Swords in reverse as the challenge. And then how to work with it, Knight of Cups, Ace of Wands. So the King of Swords are these blockages around your own authority. And it's interesting you've got Libra, it's interesting you've got Justice, which also holds the Ace of Swords as well as the King of Swords. And so the King of Swords is able to have the idea, act very clearly on it, not be shaken by other people's influence and sort of groupthink, and be able to put that into action, to be in a state of control, command, authority, maturity, And this is the challenge. Now, this can be you not, you feeling not this, you not feeling this in the upright at all, feeling a bit lost, not having the ideas, or having the ideas and not being able to put it into action. This also could be how you may be seen by others. Without, not having this clarity, not having this maturity, and being quite frustrated because you know that you are that and you are embodying that, but it's not as visible, right? The outside world isn't necessarily seeing it, right? So there's these kind of challenges around clarity of thought and the implementation of that action, as well as the distortion around people perhaps perceiving you as this when you are not. It can be a mixture of both of those things, but that is the challenge that's going to come up. There may be periods of slowdown where you're not getting the ideas, and that may feel really frustrating, and you may just feel you've lost your power. As I said, 2 retrograde planets are governing this whole chart, so there is a delay, there is time where we are having to just let things unfold and go back and forth, and then see what downloads we're going to get, right? And not to rush it, and allow that pause, allow that unfolding, and trust in that process. So it's basically saying, like, don't lose your head over this, and also be aware about what wounds in the 4th, where Jupiter is, perhaps authority figures in your life weren't very authoritative, and so you're following that, or they were too authoritative, and so you kind of gave over your power to them and then didn't let your voice, your ideas come through, you act on them. Whatever kind of wounds around that, there may be worth reflecting on, or certainly reflecting on across the board. Ancestors are going to feel like they haven't had their power, right? And that energy stuck in our field. And so Jupiter's really helping you find the wisdom with that. So just trust the process. We have the Knight of Cups and the Ace of Wands of how to work with it. So the Knight of Cups is about the true romantic, moving through the world, following the love, right? Rather than the sort of the frustration around this being blocked. It's saying get up and go and do something that you love, go and find your creative outlet, and take action on that, right? Try and see things through rose-tinted spectacles, try and see the wisdom in what's going on, but then also like really trying to find something that you can take action over, that is fulfilling your emotional body, that's fulfilling your creative energy, and the sense of love rather than restriction. We then have the Ace of Wands. So this is acting on your instincts. This is a sense of follow that virility, follow that, the life that you may be sensing in the actions that you're taking, right? You see all those leaves growing off of the wand. There's something about fertility that's coming through your instincts when you act through the Knight of Cups, right? So rather than thinking you need the idea, this is about following your emotional body and then seeing what your instincts are guiding you to do in terms of your actions. Get out of your head, Pisces. How to work with this energy. We have the 4 of Pentacles, Temperance, and the 10 of Pentacles. This is good energy for the 10th. So the 4 of Pentacles for me is all about operating from your own frequency. I always see this protection shield around this figure, and it kind of means that the outside world isn't influencing how they create. And this is allowing them to then create from their inherent soul frequency, from a place of safety and security and a place of sovereignty. So it's calling you to do this. Maybe one of my favorite things to do is with this card is just focus on it and then ask it to show you your true frequency. Diana, you might want to have it by your bedside table or at your desk or wherever you're working, of being like, okay, I need to draw myself back into this. I may be losing myself in other frequencies, as well as doing meditative practices or intention setting when you wake up of that your energy is protected, and then acting from that space. It's not about how other people build, it's about how you build and trusting in it. And then for the first time, we have the Sagittarius card, right? We've got Temperance, and this is the alchemical process, right? This is the refinement of all the parts of yourself in ways that you may not have done before, because you see the water in the cup, it's going up into that cup, right? It's about doing things differently. It's also about magic. It's about bringing that angelic frequency into the 3D. It is a patience card. It is telling you got to spend some time refining who you are with this new frequency, right? And being in a state of observation and not shame about the changes and the growing, and not the shame about the old versions of self or how you used to do things. So it's calling you to be really open to, when you tap into your own frequency of how you build, to then see what comes up, that's then calling you to then refine that practice, refine that process. Or the thing that it's calling you to do, it may be a certain skill that you want to focus on, that you're being called to focus on, that this is saying now you're activating a status, a way of refinement by doing things differently, and then putting it into practice with that 8 of Pentacles. And then with the 10 of Pentacles, big boss, longevity, legacy, energy. Focus on the long term, right? There may be some drama going on in your life. There may be drama going on with co-workers, with bosses, whatever it is. And it's saying, okay, no, what do you want to build for the long term? What's going to matter next year? What's going to matter in 5 years' time? Focus on that and build in that way, rather than, you know, the sort of the drama of the day to day. It's not about not being present in the moment. It's simply not letting nonsense stuff that doesn't really, I'm just thinking, I keep just getting gossip. This is about you going your own path and not how other people perceive how that's happening. So, bottom of the deck for the underlying energy of this transit, 4 of Wands. Love it. This is about celebration of milestones. This is about the harvest for me. So these figures all year long have been putting in the effort to get everything to grow, right? And doing the work. And now they're celebrating. Now the harvest has come in. So there's something, you're going to hit a milestone and you're going to have cause to celebrate it. If some of you, this may be a career change, a bonus, pay rise, new career path, confidence in yourself, in the actions that you're taking, and then seeing the results of it. Love this reading. Lots of pentacles, lots of clarity, right? Remember the justices there. You are going to get clarity, but you're going to have to work through different ways of navigating when you're blocked. And focus on your own energy and how you build, and understand that you are in a process of refinement. Right, what is this Mercury retrograde all about for you? We have the Death card in reverse. So this Mercury retrograde is saying that you are no longer in a state of needing to let go of things that have had an authority over you that's blocked your journey and kept you stagnant. Right, there's a new dawn coming through, right? Because in the upright, it's about that process of letting go, right? See the king at the bottom that is no more, right? Something that's had an authority over you that does not serve you. And that the Death card is the process of that. In reverse, it's saying, no, this has come to an end, right? You've let go, you're shedding with this Mercury retrograde, and you're activating a cycle of feeling empowered in your own frequency. Scorpio for you is your perspectives, right? So there's something here around an alignment of your perspectives that isn't, I'm getting pain in my left arm. Some energy coming up through the portal in my left arm, in my hand. It's often the sort of healing energy from the left, whereas the right is more the activation, but they switch around a lot. So there's a lot of energy coming through the hand that is releasing the wounds, releasing the healing process, because it's coming to a close with this Mercury retrograde. Obviously you're still in it because this is sort of the end result. I am going to pull some more cards in the Gemini full moon reading on the ending of the Mercury retrograde, but the intention of this is this shift, right, of you being more in alignment with your perspectives that aren't based on wounds from other people, right? That ninth house can get a bashing. That is then allowing you to have more confidence in your path and your ability to put your perspectives into that. Some of you may have Mercury in Scorpio as well. Always look to where your Mercury is for the Mercury retrogrades, because it's always going to be linking that in. So the challenge, it's the Three of Wands in reverse. So the Three of Wands knows they do the best that they can, knows that they're in a good position. They are not trying to, and they're starting a new journey. This is Sun in Aries. And they are not trying to control how things are going to unfold, because they know they're showing up and they know their own value. So this is in reverse. And I'm not surprised with that North Node and Chiron over in Aries that's showing up. of you not feeling this way, of like perhaps you're not feeling like you're doing the best that you can. Perhaps you're always, expecting more and more and more and more and more from yourself, and not appreciating where you're at and who you are in your journey, right? And really valuing and loving yourself utterly and madly in this very moment, which is what we should all be aiming for. And it can also feel like the challenge with this retrograde and your life purpose and your career is that you're not embarking on a new journey, that there's a kind of a stagnant energy. So, with all these other cards and with that death in reverse, I mean, it really is saying that that's nonsense, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to be feeling it. And there might be situations that highlight this. Trust in the process. Now, how to work with the Mercury retrograde. We've got the Two of Swords in reverse. This card's been showing up quite a lot. It's the Moon in Libra. And so in the upright, this figure has got to the new landscape, right? They're now going inward to figure out what their perspective is of who they are and how they want to embody that in the new realm, right? They've traveled across the ocean. They have left their homeland, and they're reflecting on who they once were and who they are now, and what do they want to bring into the new frequency, right? What is their inner equilibrium? And this card, when it's in the upright, is saying you've got to go inwards, you've got to figure that out. And in the reverse, and this is a really interesting energy to work with, that Mercury retrograde, is sort of channel that you already know, and that you're already here in the new landscape, despite what may be showing up around you. Right, it's really calling you to follow your inner balance. And it's so interesting you got Justice as the first card, right? And really allow the outside world and what's going on and the opinions just to sort of bounce off you, like you've got a protected energy field. I find the mirrored egg is a really great little thing to do. I don't do it enough myself. Where it's the mirrored egg of love. And I was taught this by a phenomenal reader. I added on my own bits to it of actually doing the elements first, like you're kind of like layer and layer of egg, and then the final egg is the mirrored egg of love. So it bounces everything that comes towards you off with love, and it bounces anything internal to you that may be not very loving. It bounces that off the inner side of the egg back to you with love. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Page of Cups. And I really love this, of you finding the magic, finding the love, finding the downloads, your communication, falling in love with your life path, your career again, being really open to new ideas, new possibilities, new ways of thinking. It is a Pisces card, Pisces. This figure is talking to a fish in a cup. That fish is talking back, and neither of them are bothered. This is about being aware of the synchronistic nature of the universe that you exist in, the support that you're getting on the journey that you're unfolding, and the new things you're integrating. There may be, for some of you, an opportunity that comes up that links more into the love energy, more into your emotional body, than the practicality of money, right? Right, oracle cards. Let's read them in the order that I shuffled. Right. Oh, no, that was there. So first up, from the Shaman's Dream Oracle, is the card that I link into Sagittarius for very obvious reasons. We have number 30, Horseman, Herald of Change. I always forget, if I see those cards and the tarot, I always kind of forget what's going on. It's a great thing about my terrible memory. It just disappears. So it's amusing to then when I come back to this, because I know what this says, and it's so kind of in alignment with what's come through, especially with that two of Swords in reverse. So where are we in focus? Are we in focus? Good news, caution, herald of change. When the horseman appears, he is inviting you to spread the good news. Everyone already knows the bad news. Your task is to point out the beautiful when others see only the ugly. Note the possible, no matter how implausible it may seem. This does not mean becoming giddy or blindly optimistic, but rather reminding yourself that every storm cloud has a silver lining. Become a herald of the positive. Put away the fatalistic attitude, the dire predictions, the dreadful expectations about the world or about your life. Declare the arrival of a new and better you. Proclaim that you have risen from the realms of the dead. Hello, the death card in reverse. Shut the front door on the way out, Source. Woken from a long and dreadful slumber and are back on the world stage. The show is on again. The horseman cautions you to not allow your exuberance to become hollow or trivial. Be sure that there is substance to the news you spread, and you are willing to live up to the expectations you raise. Step up to your own incarnation. 8 of Pentacles. The world will welcome you with open arms as you share an uplifting message. Heed the horseman when he shows up. Once, for he bears good news and is announcing the prosperous and peaceful time. When he shows up twice in the same reading, though, use extreme caution. If you heed his warnings, all will turn out well. I mean, do I need to say anything on top of that? I mean, that really was summing up this whole reading. I love that. It makes me feel not mad or less mad. Right, so this is from the 4 Agreements Oracle, and the book that it's based on was written by a Virgo sun. This was given to me by a Gemini rising, and I always bring it out when Mercury is being a boss, right? So I cannot recommend the 4 Agreements enough. Very short, but if you start applying those 4 agreements in your life, it will change for the better. Always do your best. Hello, 8 of Pentacles. Ita ti shania tu shania. Stay in the present moment. Keep your attention on today and stay in the present moment. This is the beginning of a new understanding, a new dream. I like that with that combination of what I said about the 10 of Pentacles is put into practice in the moment the core understandings of self, right? That's Jupiter in the 4th right now, that are going to be resonant in the long term, right? Not the drama, but the love. And bring that into the present, right? It's also not about denying certain situations that may be difficult, but honestly, trust in what the horseman is saying of a reorientation of perspective with that Justice card and that 2 of Swords and the Knight King of Swords as well. Because you're doing some work around that, right? And a realignment. And the King of Swords can be a bit stubborn and a bit cool and detached and not very emotional and not very loving in its nature. I mean, that's I don't always hold space for that energy, but it's coming through that there's a clearing out of that resistance that we can have with the King of Swords. Right, okay, so, lol. Okay, so we got 1 card from Rainbow Brainskull. The work is whatever uncomfortable thing that is in front of you right now at this moment. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasures you seek. A simple but difficult message. It is time to confront the uncomfortable and engage in whatever you're working so hard to avoid. Remember, even though you may know what you need to do, you can't know all the rewards waiting on the other side. I love that. All of those have really summed up all of the core messages. I just feel called to look at the bottom of the deck for this one. Oh, I love this card. I get this one a lot because it's trying to wake me up to of we're moving into a space where the cycles aren't repeating in such a closed loop way. Every timeline exists. Choose one to move towards. If you can imagine it, then it exists somewhere in space and time. Like a radio, your brain is a receiver of information. You can tune into any reality you choose if you're able to align with it. So this is saying that's coming through. That alignment is coming through with this Death card in reverse, with this activation of your own power. You're going to be cultivating, you building from your energy. Moving through from a place of love and instinct is going to get you more into this space, right? There's going to be certain scenarios that are coming up, certain difficulties that you've got to face, you've got to look at. But remember, the horseman is always saying, focus on the positive of it. Don't just look at the pain. Find the wisdom with that Chiron Mercury energy and stay present, and don't lose yourself in fear and worry and all of that stuff. Right, Pisces, I enjoyed that reading a lot. I hope you did too. If you did, hit that like button. It brings me a lot of joy. If you want a personal reading, perhaps to deep dive a little bit more on this, or the fact that the nodes are going to move into your sign in January, Pisces, that's going to be wild. I'm so excited for that. Cannot wait to do that transit series. Or anything else, doesn't just have to be astrology based. My details are everywhere. You can book through my website or email me directly, and that way we can do PayPal. Completely up to you. Really love doing personal readings. They bring a lot of wild channeling through. Other than that, Pisces, be good to yourselves, be good to those around you, safe travels, and be well until we meet again.